Our winter concerts at the Crane continue on Sunday, March 17th, when we are celebrating St. Patrick's Day with the Golden Lane Trio. I'm joined today by Pat and Bill Black, two-thirds of the Golden Lane Trio, to talk about it. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, our pleasure.
You're welcome.
I'm super excited that you are able to come and join us for this, momentous occasion. It's always fun when St. Patrick's Day comes around.
Yes.
But you celebrate Irish music 12 months a year, I assume.
Yes, we do.
You've been playing music, you were telling me before, for quite some time.
Yes.
And you've been married for 50 years, I think you said?
In September, it'll be 50 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is fabulous. So I know when people think of Irish music, they think of reels, they think of jigs, they think of the pogues. When you think of Irish music, I'm sure there is a lot more than that. Is there a set canon that you always go to? Do you create original Irish music? Give me a little bit of a quick education.
Well, it is the reels, jigs, hornpipes, slides, and polkas. And Bill has written a lot of traditional Irish music himself.
Well, that's cool. So you take the form, but have new lyrics and new chord progressions to it, or new melodies?
Basically, what you have to do is you have to listen to a lot of music. And then when the time comes to compose it, you have to combine originality with a respect for the tradition as far as the sound is concerned. So sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes you make errors in one direction and you kind of go back and say, that didn't sound right, and then you correct it. And yeah, it's always good to run something that you've composed past other musicians.
That makes sense.
And that's, okay, that sounds good, or that doesn't sound too good, that kind of thing. So,
are you composing by singing into a phone? Is it a written tradition, or is it you're picking it out? What's your composing technique?
Basically, I compose on the mandolin, because mandolin is a nice manageable instrument, and it does everything that an Irish musician could want it to do as far as the range of notes is concerned. And so then I'll take it from the mandolin and go to a protocol called ABC, which enables you to write out music using just text.
Okay, so you write
ASCII text. Yeah, it's not. Okay. You don't need a dedicated music program to do this thing. And over the years, I've become fairly proficient at doing it that way. And then when you develop this text file, you take it to a translator program, and the translator program will produce notation, standard notation, and it will also produce a sound file. So you get to hear what you've written down, and then you can make your corrections from there. It's a very, very handy way of doing things, and Pat is very, very proficient with ABC and appreciates it for what it's able to do.
Do you compose all the different parts, or do you typically compose a melody and a rhythm, and then you have other musicians who hear it and add their own elements?
No, Irish traditional music, as we play it, is basically one voice.
It's one voice. It's in unison.
Yeah, it's not a harmony thing. It's not the most harmony that you would get involved with would be chords for the backup.
Okay.
And I could do that fairly easily, but I don't do it if I'm composing. I don't do it. I don't put the chords in right away. I'll put the chords in later on. It's just when composing happens, it's just basically the single line of the melody.
Okay.
And then later on, if enhancement is needed, that can take place.
Do you sing as well? Are there lyrics, or do you just do instrumental?
No, when I compose a dance tune, it's strictly instrumental.
Okay.
I do also write songs.
Okay. And what instruments do you play?
I started with the guitar. I started with classical guitar when I was 15 years old.
Okay.
And my classical guitar career kind of ended really fast because I discovered I didn't really have much talent for it. But I love classical guitar. This hand actually shook the hand of Andres Segovia, who is the small g god of classical guitar playing.
You definitely.
And then once I got involved in Irish music, I needed something to play melody on. So I started with mandolin, then moved to tenor banjo. Tenor banjo is the same tuning, but it has much more of a bite as far as ensemble playing is concerned. Mandolin's a lovely instrument, but if you get between an accordion player and a piper, you would need a railroad spike to get any kind of sound out of the mandolin. So I said, enough of that. I moved to tenor banjo, and then eventually I also played bouzouki.
Okay.
Which is
that
a Balkan instrument of Greek ancestry, but the tuning of it is such that it can be used for quite nicely for accompaniment in Irish traditional music. You have to change the tuning. You can't play it in the same tuning that the Greek musicians do, but you can adapt it and play it as a backup or a solo instrument.
How many strings are on a bouzouki?
8.
8.
Yep.
Okay, and your banjo is a 5-string or a?
Banjo is 4-string.
Is it 4? Okay.
Correct.
Is it a claw banjo? Is it more American?
Tenor, yeah,
Americanized
that
different
kind of banjo is not used in Irish traditional music because there's too much going on.
Okay. Yeah. And Pat, so you're also a musician.
My first instrument was the bagpipes.
The bagpipes. I've been
Yes.
told I could not practice or even attempt to learn the bagpipes in my house.
I'm not surprised.
Do you still play them?
No. I
No.
played with the City of Dublin Girls Pipe Band.
No.
And then when I came over here, the New York City Transit Police were starting their own band. So I was their second teacher. Their first teacher was a traveling salesman. He was only there one week
One
out
session.
of the month.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So I was their teacher for the rest of it. So I was with them.
So you cut your teeth. Had you taught before? Or was that your first teaching
no.
gig?
Yeah, that was
Yeah?
my first teaching gig.
Wow, that's quite
Yes.
a.
Yeah.
Wow. And you were teaching them traditional Irish music? What was
Well, the traditional bagpipe music.
Traditional bagpipe.
Which is Scottish and Irish and.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but you don't play bagpipe anymore?
No, I don't.
No. What do you play now?
I play, then I switched to the harp
Okay.
and the tin whistle, the drum, the bodhrán, and I played the flute for a while.
Okay.
Took too much air, so I gave that up.
So something that's easy to carry. The harp is obviously not very portable.
No,
the whistle is great.
Yes.
Stick it in your pocket.
That's. So much Irish music can be portable with the whistle, with the stringed instruments you were talking about, Bill. I think
Although
it's-
at the end of a night, the banjo can weigh about 738 pounds. Yeah.
Yes, the drummers have an easier lot, though. I think if you have just the frame drums, those are.
Yes.
It's not a full kit.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's not generally loved by a lot of musicians.
Oh no.
Because there are a lot of bodhrán players that just kind of bang on it, and
Very simplified.
yeah, so you get a lot of looks when you come in with the drum, like, ugh, here's another drummer.
I know when you perform here, you're going to be as a trio. So,
Yes.
what's the third? Tell us a little bit about the third person, who we don't have yet to talk to
Colin.
today. Colin. Yep.
And he plays the uilleann pipes.
Uilleann pipes. I don't know if I know what the uilleann pipes
The
even
uilleann
are.
pipes are, uilleann is elbow.
Okay.
Now, if you think the bagpipes are bad,
I don't think they're bad.
no,
was
I
never-
mean awkward.
Okay.
I should have said awkward looking.
Yeah.
You've got, let's see, you've got a bag in this arm, you've got a bellows on this arm, and this
wow.
is keeping the air in the bag.
Right.
And then attached to the bag is the chanter and drones.
Okay.
And it's,
Takes a fair
I
amount of
tried
coordination.
it one time,
Yeah.
but I got a set of pipes that never worked. And even the best piper around, we gave the pipes to him and said, what's wrong with these? He couldn't get them to work. So I said it wasn't meant to be.
Not meant to be. No.
And I'm glad, I'm glad that happened because, whoa, a reed instrument is a royal pain trying to keep it in shape.
Yes, they
And
are
the
very
bag, and the
temperamental.
bellows, and the attachments. There's all kinds of things that have to be taken care
Wow.
of.
Well, I'm excited that Colin will bring and demonstrate, so the
And
rest of us don't
yes.
have to master this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's
But
very good.
The easiest way to distinguish, for people that don't know, we call the Irish pipes are the sit-down pipes.
Okay.
Because he can play them. You can't march around with them.
Ah, okay.
And so he'll play it sitting down, and it's a great sound, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Colin
It's a mellower sound than the bagpipes.
Colin is a fine player.
Wonderful. I look forward to hearing it.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just curious a little bit about your background. You mentioned just now that when you came over from Dublin. So, did you first start playing music in Dublin?
Yes.
Yeah. How did you get interested in
My
music in the
sister-in-law.
first place? Yeah.
Yeah, my brother met Kathleen, and Kathleen was a drummer with the City of Dublin Girls Pipe Band.
Okay.
And she said, "Oh, we're looking for pipers. Would you like to play the pipes?" And I said, "Sure, why not?"
And the rest is history, as
Yes.
they say. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
That's really cool. And Bill, you started playing in New York, I believe.
I did. My mom and dad were professional musicians.
Yeah.
And,
In New York City, or where in New York?
well, yeah, based in New York City. And my dad had, from the 20s and 30s, had a dance band, kind of in Guy Lombardo style.
Okay.
And my mom was, for a while, a singer with the band. And I guess that's where they met. And I like to think they fell in love. And then eventually I arrived on the scene. But I've grown up around music all my life. My mom played piano.
Okay.
And when we moved to Bourne 5 years ago, we had carried my mother's piano around. My mother passed away in 1974. But we'd never had the heart to get rid of her piano. And then finally, when we moved into a condo, it had to be.
Well, that would be a hard parting.
Yeah, so
God.
we found through the lady that was the music director at our parish, there was a young student, piano student, who really needed a piano, and so we said, okay, take that. We kind of thought my mother would have enjoyed that.
Yes.
Pianos need to be played. Sometimes
They
they
do.
just sit, and it's much better when they are
They do.
appreciated.
And neither of us had the interest in it, and our grandkids
Oh, I
sort
wouldn't say
of.
that. I had the interest, but never got around to it. I would
Well.
love to have learned to play the piano.
Yeah, and
Still plenty of time. You can
I never had anything resembling talent for the piano. So, but that's basically my background was that, and Irish music came after I met Pat.
All right.
I'm partially Irish ancestry, but there was no during my growing up life. I mean,
Your
there
parents
was
as
never
musicians,
any
they were
exposure to traditional music.
not- Okay.
But then once we were married in 1969, in the early 1970s, 72, 73, there was a tremendous growth of interest in traditional music in the New York area. And we were very lucky to become involved in that. A place called the Irish Arts Center had started, and all kinds of things were going on, and sessions all over New York, and places like the Mushroom and the Bells of Hell and Wiles and the Eagle Tavern. It was just a very great scene.
Wow.
But the problem was, not a problem, but by that time Pat and I were married and had our oldest son. So it wasn't like you could kind of go out and hang around till all hours of the morning or night or whatever. You kind of had to be done in a family context. But we made a lot of friends and have had a lot of fun doing the music together.
Great. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to your performance here. What are you going to play a little bit for us here in the studio today, so we can give people just a little bit of a taste? Is there anything you would like them to say about what you're going to perform here in just a minute?
What are we going to perform?
Well,
Will we do the
That's a
polka?
very-
well, I'm going to do a song called "The Fields of Athenry,"
Okay.
which anybody who is of any way familiar with Irish music knows this song. It is a song about that relates to the famine times in Ireland, particularly in County Galway. Athenry is a little town in the eastern part of County Galway, and it was written by a Dublin guy named Pete St. John, who I think has since passed away. But it's a song that everybody knows. There's a chorus, everybody sings along. So we figured that's a good one to do.
For sure.
And then Pat and I together will do one in Irish.
Ah.
It's a song called An Colleen Rua, which means the red-haired girl. Perhaps has to do, excuse me, And then I'm not sure what Mrs. Black has in mind to do, but
I will do a song called Song for Ireland.
All right.
It was written by a couple of Australians who visited Ireland and absolutely fell in love with the west of Ireland. And I just loved the song. Because coming from the city, Dublin City, when I went over to the west of Ireland, I was absolutely amazed at how gorgeous it was over there. So I had the same feeling they had.
You fell in
So
love.
I love their song. So I'll sing that song.
and there are these Australians, when they visited Ireland, were fishing people. So there are a lot of fishing references in the song, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Our pleasure.
Please come and help us all celebrate the joys of Ireland and Irish music here on St. Patrick's Day, Sunday, March 17th. We will be gathering at 3 o'clock, as we are for all the winter concerts at the Crane. I look forward to seeing you.
By a lonely garden wall, I heard a young girl calling. Michael, they have taken you away, for you stole Trevelyan's corn, so the young might see the morn. Now the prison ship lies waiting in the bay, and low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. By a lonely prison wall, I heard a young man calling. Oh, nothing matters, Mary, when you're free. Against the famine and the crown I rebelled, they knocked me down. Now you must raise our child in dignity. And low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. By a lonely harbor wall, she watched the last star falling, as the prison ship sailed out against the sky. Now she lives to hope and pray for her love in Botany Bay. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. And low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Yes, it's lonely round the fields of Athenry.
stood by your Atlantic sea, and I sang a song for Ireland. He sang